Hello everyone, my name is Keely. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. For today's video, I am very excited because I am starting a new reading vlog, reading the entire Caraval trilogy by Stephanie Garber. So originally, I was planning on reading Caraval in November because I am buddy reading this with my best friend Katie from Katie's Book Nook. We have been wanting to read Caraval for like the past year, and finally we put our foot down. We were like, November, we are doing it. And then she mentioned she was going to read the entire trilogy and vlog it, and I was like, what if we both do that? And it's like a collab across the world because she's in Massachusetts and I am in Texas. So we will be buddy reading the entire trilogy together. So the first book is Caraval, and then the second book is Legendary, and then the third book is Finale. So this, I believe, is a young adult fantasy series, and I have owned Caraval since 2017 when it came out, so I'm excited to finally get to it. So from what I know, we follow two sisters, Scarlett and Tella, and they live on this island, and their father is a very horrible, awful, abusive man, and they grew up hearing the legend of Caraval their entire lives. Now, Caraval is this traveling performance group of performers, and they only go to one place once and they never reappear in the same place again. So apparently at Caraval there is like this magical competition that happens, and the audience actually gets to participate. And so one day, after years and years of writing letters to Legend, the owner of Caraval, Scarlett finally gets a letter back inviting her and her sister to Caraval. And they say that you can participate and the winner this year gets one wish. Of course, when Scarlett and Tella get to Caraval, Tella immediately gets kidnapped, and the winner of the competition gets Tella. So that's kind of what I know so far, just based on the synopsis that I've heard years and years. I am already 50 pages in, so as of right now, I have met Scarlett and Tella and their awful, awful father, and they are currently leaving the island to go to Caraval. And by the way, this vlog will not have any spoilers for the entire series in it. I'm reading this and we are going to talk about my feelings like we normally would, non-spoiler. So yes, like I said, I'm on page 50 right now, and Katie is also on page 50, so we are doing great with the buddy read so far. I'm hoping to get to at least page 100. So this first book is only 400 pages long, and like each chapter, or like the pages on the words, oh my gosh, of course I can't flip to a good part to show you. There's not a lot of pages. Like, I feel like the margins are pretty big and the font's pretty big, so I feel like it's gonna go by quickly. But so far, so good. I'm hoping that things get really magical, and I'm really interested in to see how the competition goes, because I love a good competition in the game, especially if this is like a life or death thing, which sounds like it is if Tella's getting kidnapped. We'll see what happens. Legend also seems like a very mysterious character, and we're not quite sure if he is a villain or what. And we also just found out the origin story of Caraval and Legend and kind of his background and who he is. So it'll be interesting to participate in Caraval and see what happens. I have heard great things about Stephanie Garber and this trilogy, and especially her newer books that are coming out that are in the same world. So yeah, hopefully Caraval goes well, and I will keep you updated. Alrighty, it is day 2 of reading Caraval, and I am now halfway through, so I'm on page like 221, so a little over halfway through, and we are like in the swing of things. The competition has started. We are in the thick of it. The part that I just stopped at, I'm about to be on day 4 of Caraval, so I just like finished the first 3 days. I think there's 5 days in this competition, so like we're in the thick of it. Things are going. The competition's fierce. I'm not really thriving. I'm not really enjoying this. So the way this is written and the world that this is set in is very reminiscent of Alice in Wonderland. So it is kind of a nonsense world, and nonsense worlds are something that I really, really hate. They're a major turnoff for me in books, and this is very much a nonsense world, and so I am not enjoying it because of the world that it's set in. We also follow Scarlett, and I don't really like Scarlett. She is kind of annoying. I don't understand a lot of her decisions, and I don't really like her as a character. The only character I really like right now is Julian, but I don't feel like I can fully trust him. I just feel like everyone is suspicious. I don't know what's going on, because the thing is with this game, also, like, a lot of times you don't know what's real. And they always tell you, like, it's a game, nothing's real, but then, like, these huge, dangerous things happen, but you're like, is it real or not? Because people could be dying. Who knows? But yeah, so not really thriving, not really having a great time, but, you know, we're gonna finish it, and I'm still gonna continue with the series because I'm hoping that it gets better, and maybe once we're out of the competition, it'll be less nonsense, but we'll see. So yeah, so hopefully I can finish this within the next day or two. Katie is enjoying it more than I am so far, so that's good. Good for her. Love that for her. Hate that for me. But yeah, so halfway through, I have less than 200 pages of it, but it is reading pretty quickly, so hopefully it continues to do so. Alright, hello everyone. I just finished Caraval by Stephanie Garber, and a lot of my feelings from the last clip are very similar. So this book takes two tropes that I absolutely hate and uses it throughout the whole novel. And those tropes are a nonsense world, which I mentioned, and not knowing what's real or what's like not actually happening. I hate those. Like, I need to know that this is real. I hate when something happens and then later they're just like, oh, it's a game, it's not real. Like, okay, but that looked very real. Like, that dead body over there looked very real. So I just hate when stories do that, where they're like, none of this is real, it's all in your head, and this very much did that. It is very much a nonsense world, and so at times it was very hard for me to follow, and I would get lost or have to go back and read a certain page because it was just nonsense. Didn't know what was going on. But today I started the second half of the book, and I flew by with the last 200 pages so quickly because the second half of the book is so much better than the first half. It was really great, or compared to the first half. I wouldn't say it was great, but it was so much better than the first half. There was a little bit at the end that made me really, really angry, and I just didn't want to read because it was more of that, is this real or is it not? Is it all happening inside your head? What's going on type of thing? And like I said, I just hate that. But yeah, the second half was definitely a lot more intriguing, and so it did bump up my rating from a 2-star to a 3-star. So ultimately, I am giving Caraval 3 stars. For a little bit there, I thought it was gonna be 2 stars. Like, halfway through, I was like, this is a 2-star read. And then the second half got so much more interesting, so I was like, okay, I think I can bump this up to a 3-star. And honestly, this book could read as a standalone if you don't read the epilogue. Like, I would have been perfectly happy with how this ended, but I'm already committed to reading this entire series for this video. So otherwise, I probably would have stopped with just Caraval, but I am going to read the other 2 books to see what happens, and I also want to read other Stephanie Garber books in this world because I heard that they're better, and I have a feeling that I will like those more. Katie said that the newer books she's heard actually give off Twilight vibes, so hook, line, and sinker, you got me. But yeah, Caraval is finished, and I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. Alright, hello, time for an update. Yes, I am in the queue for Taylor Swift tickets. No, it is not going well, thank you for asking. But today I did start reading Legendary, book 2 in the Caraval trilogy, and I made it to page 208 so far, so I am almost halfway through. These books read pretty quickly, and I am so pleased to say that I am enjoying this book so much more than Caraval. Like, I still don't think it'll be a 5-star book. I don't imagine any of these books will be 5 stars for me just because of the nonsenseness of it all, but I do enjoy it a lot more than the first book. So in this book, we actually follow Tella's point of view, which I was really worried about when we first started because I did not like Tella, but I also didn't like Scarlet, so it didn't feel like a major loss because we were shifting perspectives because I didn't like either one. But I do like Tella more than I thought. She's still not my favorite character in the world, but I do like her more than Scarlet. They are very different in my opinion. And it's interesting because there is another Caraval game that is happening, but it is in a different setting, a different place. New characters are introduced. There are higher stakes, I feel like, in this one. This book also has a lot to do with, like, the fates and, like, I believe, like, tarot and things like that. So we're meeting a bunch of key players that involve that. There's a lot of magic involved. But yes, and we also get to see more of Dante. So if you liked Dante in the first book, we do get to see more of him, and I definitely like him more in this book as well. Like, the first book, he wasn't great, but this one, he's like growing on me. I wish we got to see Julian more because I love Julian, and we haven't really seen a whole lot of Scarlet, which is fine by me because didn't really care for her. But yeah, I am enjoying it a lot more than the first one so far. Still not probably going to be a 5 stars, but maybe a 4. Fingers crossed. It is reading super quickly. I might read a little bit more today, but we'll see. And I feel like I will probably finish this one, if not today, well, definitely not today, but I'll probably finish it tomorrow. Alright, good morning. You are balancing on my couch right now, so hopefully you don't fall. But I wanted to update you before I go to work because I did read more of Legendary yesterday. I don't have the dust jacket on, and I didn't feel like going to my room to put it on. But I'm on page 323, so I have like 120 pages left. And let me tell you, this book is Who Did That to You? Oh, I saw that quote and I immediately typed it in my phone so I could remember to tell you, because something happened and someone went to Tella and was like, who did that to you? Oh, okay, I love that line. Like, I am a sucker for it every time. It gets me every time. So the thing is, with Legendary and the Caraval series, they always tell you this is a game, nothing is real. And so because of that, I feel like you cannot trust anything. And so that's one of my problems with this series, is that I need the facts. Like, I am not one of those people that can live in a nonsense world. I need the facts. I need to be told explanations and all that stuff. But every time someone says something, I'm like, I can't take you seriously, because I don't know if you're telling the truth or if it's all part of the game or if you're just like a performer or an actor or like what's going on. So I literally do not trust anyone or any situation, and just I hope for the best. You know, I hope that it all gets explained in the end, because every time I do start trusting someone, they do something and I'm just like, it's all a game. You can't trust anyone. So that's my like one gripe about like the series as a whole, is Caraval is so untrustworthy. You don't know if anything's real, and I hate not knowing if things are real or not. But overall, I'm still very much enjoying Legendary a lot more than Caraval, which is exciting because I thought like it was just going to keep going downhill for me. And I actually really do like Tella, still don't like Scarlet. Like, every time she shows up, I'm just like, ugh, don't really like her. But she did something that surprised me, and I was like, okay, maybe she's like character development, who knows. But I'm probably going to finish it today, and then I will update you when it's done. Alright, it is the same day as my last update, but I had to let you know that I finished Legendary today, and I enjoyed this one so much more than Caraval, like I've been saying. I almost feel like I need to lower my rating for Caraval because I love this one so much more. This book also solidified my hatred for Scarlet. Thankfully, we barely saw her in this book, but at the end, she just had to come in and do something, and I was like, I actually hate her now, because in the first book, I just disliked her, but now I really do hate her, and I'm interested to see if that'll change in the third book, or if it'll just get worse. I do really love Tella so much. I love Dante, I love Julian, and unfortunately, like I said, we don't get to see a whole lot of him, so I'm hoping we get to see more of Julian in the third book. But I do like that we got to know Dante more in this book. He's very fascinating, and he's covered in tattoos, so like, love that for me. But yeah, this world was also more interesting because I feel like the game this time felt more real. Like I said before, the stakes were higher, so like I was more invested. I also loved the place we were at, like the city we were in, was more interesting than the first book setting. But yes, overall I really enjoyed it. I'm still gonna give it 4 stars, not quite a 5, just because, you know, nonsense isn't my thing. But I just loved it so much more than Caraval. But 4 out of 5 stars, and I can't wait to see what the third one has in store. Alright, I have just a small update for you. Today I started Finale, which is the last book in this trilogy, obviously. I'm about 70 pages in, so not super far. This is the longest book in the trilogy, and this is actually dual perspective. So we get both Tella's perspective and Scarlet's perspective. And if you recall, I hate Scarlet, but I love Tella. So far I am really enjoying Tella's perspectives. And the only good thing about Scarlet's perspective is that we get to see more of Julian, which is what I wanted. But I'm really worried that the fact that we see more of Scarlet and get her perspective in this is going to hinder my enjoyment. But hopefully she has some really good character development and I end up actually liking her. But so far, every time I read from her, I'm just annoyed and I want to get to Tella. But yeah, I'm only 70 pages in and some things need to be resolved, so we'll see what happens. Okay. I'm almost done with Finale. I don't even want to tell you what page I'm on because I don't want to spoil anything, but I have this much left, and oh my goodness, I have to finish this today. Like, something just happened. This is so good. Oh my god. Alright everyone, I have my final update for you. I need to close out this vlog. Excuse my hair. I ran 10 miles this morning for the first time ever. And I had to tell the vlog, even though this is not about running, I had to tell everyone I know. So I ran 10 miles. Anyway, yesterday I managed to finish Finale. So I finished the entire Caraval trilogy this week, and oh my goodness guys, this is a love story. Like, this book is essentially a love story, and I loved every second of it. So the best part about this book is that there is no nonsense. Like, we don't have a Caraval game in this, so it is nothing but high stakes, life and death, and love. and I just adored that so much. I told you at the beginning I was worried about Scarlett's chapters, but she grew on me. She's never going to be my favorite character, but I definitely don't hate her so much anymore, and her chapters didn't ruin anything for me. I liked her chapters. I loved Hella's chapters. I love Dante. I love Legend. I love Julian. Like, I love them all, and this book was just so high stakes, and there were so many bombs dropped where my mouth was just open. And I didn't update you as much as I did on the other ones because I just could not put this down. I read like 370 pages in one day yesterday because I was like, I have to finish this to figure out what's happening. And it is essentially a love story. So the beginning of this book, we actually have 2 separate love triangles, and I really don't have a problem with love triangles, but in this situation there were definitely people I wanted the characters to end up with more so than like some of the other people. So yeah, this was so much about love, and not just like romantic love, but also familial love. There was so much familial love in this, and I just adore this. And surprise, surprise, 5 stars. Like, genuinely, I gave this 5 stars, and I did not see that coming. Especially after reading Caraval, I didn't think that I was going to love this series at all, and now I just feel like it's going to be one of those that I think about forever and might even claim it as one of my favorite series. But as a recap, 5 stars for finale. We're going backwards here. Legendary was 4 stars, really enjoyed this one. And then the first book, Caraval, 3 stars. I really did not like this one, especially compared to the other 2. It just wasn't great. It was mediocre, so I gave it 3 stars. But as you can see, like, I feel like as the series went on, it got less nonsense, and that makes sense for me that I enjoyed the first one the least, which was the most nonsense, and then as it got less, I enjoyed them more. I also wanted to show you my original Caraval edition. So I ordered that Caraval box set like last week when Katie and I were like, let's read the series together. Which, by the way, Katie, a little bit slacking, but she'll catch up. It's fine. But it's been so much fun to read them with her because every time I'm like, dude, like, you gotta get this. Like, oh, it's so good. Okay, so my original Caraval edition is this beautiful UK hardback. I got this in 2017 when I was living in London, and I wish I had the entire series. Oh my gosh, it's a rose. I wish I had the entire series in these editions. Like, I genuinely, after I read Caraval, I was like, why did I buy the box set? Like, I should have just got these from the library. Why did I buy it? And then I read Legendary, and I was like, okay, I'm glad I have this book. And then after finale, I was like, I need multiple editions of this whole series. I just loved it so much. I had such a great time reading it, and it was so much fun. And honestly, I always like talk about how on this channel I am not a fantasy girly, but YA fantasy just has my heart, and I just want to read more and more YA fantasy. I always thought I disliked fantasy, and maybe it's just because a lot of stuff is leaning more towards adult, but I need true to the core young adultness. Like, sometimes when people are like, this is just too young adult for me, that's what I want, that's what I need. But yes, love the series overall, highly recommend it. If you have made it this far in the video, go ahead and leave like the sparkle emoji because magic, Caraval, you get it. Or we could leave the rose emoji. Let's just go with the sparkle emoji. Wow, I just love the series a lot. Okay, but that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, all my social media links will be down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!